want to quickly talk about the frame or guard advantage display system available in training mode, because it's frankly not that good. It can be quite vague, and I've seen some people make assumptions, some mistakes about how it works or what it displays, because of it being vague, and also because there's actually some quirks with the system as well that changes how it displays that I don't think are intentional. So let's first talk about the different states. So we'll talk about blue, which means you're +1 at the very least, or plus 10 billion from what I can figure out. So all blue does is say that you're plus. There's then yellow, which is to say you're somewhere between 0 and -4. So anywhere between even on block to -4. If you play fighting games enough, you know there's a big difference between 0 and -1. There's a big difference between 0 and -4. So the yellow colour is probably the least useful of any of them. It's frankly far too vague. It doesn't give you any useful information at all, and I would do some manual testing and frankly ignore it if you see that when you're testing out a move. The last state is red. Red means that you're at the very least -5. I believe the reason it's set up this way is because the fastest move in the game is 5 frames, which tends to be close light normals. Zeta, for example, has a 5-frame close light normal. So that's the basic of how it works. Now, to talk about the quirks of the system itself, for example, we saw if I do the auto combo, I shows yellow. This is actually even on hit, 0 on hit. But funnily enough, if I do the auto combo and I hold up, it says I'm actually at a disadvantage when I'm going up into the air. This is because I believe that Zeta has a 5-frame jump start up, so the jump start up gets added to your frame advantage or disadvantage, and as such it then determines that the auto combo is actually -5 instead of 0 on block. This can actually be seen in the AI doing it as well. So if I set the AI to on hit jump, do the auto combo, it'll now say that I'm plus because the AI jumped straight away. So if you have these settings on, you know, whether it's guard jump or, you know, hit jump or whatever, you're not going to see accurate frame data because it's going to add the jump start up to the frame data itself. The good thing, or the upside to this, is that you can test the frame data yourself, you know, very primitively in the game by just pausing the game, having two of the same character. You know, if it turns yellow, do it again, hold up, have the opponent jump as well, pause the game, hide the menu. You can see whether or not they jumped at the same time or not. And the easiest way to tell from what I've been able to figure out, even if you don't use the animation, is the clouds, because they seem to come out the same way every time. And you can see them at the bottom of the screen there just now. So you can test primitively whether it's even or slightly minus, you know, from the yellow colour. If you have a way of watching it back in 60 frames, frame by frame, you can tell exactly what the frame advantage or disadvantage is of any move. But this currently is the best way to tell. The main thing I would say is to keep in mind about the quirks of the system, especially the one about jump start up and things like that, because I have seen people make mistakes because of this already. You know, we are solely getting frame data for all the cast at this point. I think I might have missed something, but I think we're mostly done with normals and things like that. We're waiting a bit more for some additional information, things like special moves and the variations between whether or not they hit late or early and things like that, for characters across the cast. So for now, you know, just I would recommend obviously to use real frame data if you know where that is, if you can get your hands on it. Test yourself if necessary, and you know, do be careful of the in-game system because it's not very useful at all. It's quite vague and it doesn't quite give you the best idea of how it works or how your frame advantage really is.